Hello, everybody. It is Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, joined by Jason Mackey on our brand new PG Penn State YouTube channel. Gives us a chance to talk about the Nittany Lions in a little more depth, a little more length. I had Isaiah Maldonado on, Jason, for a few podcasts this week. He's our PG Nittany Lions insider, but glad to get you here and your take on Penn State. Let's just get right into it. Penn State is a 40-plus point favorite, according to our friends at FanDuel this week. I don't think we expect them to be in any kind of dogfight with the Wolfpack. However, there were games last year where they did play down to the competition a little bit. I think about that Bowling Green game. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you can learn positively about this team before the Oregon game at the end of next month? They have the three games against the non-power opponents. Then they have a bye. Then they have Oregon on September. Learn, or are they only bad things if they don't play the way you want them to?
I feel like I'm stretching a little bit, but I want to answer it. First and foremost, you want them to stay healthy, and you also want them to not have some sort of catastrophic loss, right? But, I think there's some stuff I can learn. Is Luke Reynolds legit? Is he my number one tight end? Is it Khalil Dinkins? Did they share it? How are those balls distributed? I can look at their wide receivers, Adam. I think there's a lot to learn there. I think they can be really good. I love the Trevor Pena selection or transfer, I should say, from Syracuse. I think they should have a lot more depth there. Defensively, they need to account for the loss of Abdul Carter. I'm curious to see how that happens. Is that denied Dennis Sutton? I think it can be. What becomes of Zane Durant? He's going to get more opportunity. Also, there are more expectations. Is this defense truly legit? I try to temper those expectations, temper that excitement with the fact that if they clobber Nevada by 70, I don't know if I feel like I've learned anything.
Yeah, but I think it's how are they going to use these guys? I think the tight ends was an astute point on your part, because are they going to be as big a part of this offense? Can they be a part of this offense? Yeah. As Tyler Warren was last season? If you still see those guys getting similar amounts of targets or anything approaching that, then you can believe, okay, even if the wide receivers don't live up to their potential or don't live up to what Penn State thinks they might need compared to, remember, they were last seen catching 0 passes in the Orange Bowl. If you're not getting what you want out of those wide receivers, can these tight ends fill that void like Tyler Warren did last season? I think you can learn that for sure. I'm going to frame the question, I guess, a different way. What type of dominance do you want to see them display against these overmatched teams? Do you want to see Drew Allar statting it up, padding his potential Heisman resume? Do you want to see this offensive line and the running backs just hammering teams into submission, and maybe Drew Allar only throws for 100 yards because that's all he has to do for that particular afternoon? Do you want to see this Jim Knowles defense putting up zeros? And it's probably all of it, but what do you think is most important for their long-term future?
Yeah, I want to see Drew Allar do that, Adam. I just don't think it's smart. I feel bad for Drew Allar. I do think they're going to clobber quite a few teams on their schedule early on. And how far into the third quarter is he going to play? If I'm James Franklin, I'm not playing him a ton. I need Drew Allar as a part of this thing. It's bad news if he goes down and they're trying to do this thing without him. So, yeah, I'm going to protect my best asset. Probably the thing that I guess I want to see the most is the defense and how they use different guys and how, I don't know, how that speed plays, who can develop, what guys, are you giving opportunities to? I keep going back to as many lopsided outcomes as I expect. And of course, you're going to empty the bench. Of course, you're going to see things that look really good. I wish they got into Big Ten play and the thick of Big Ten play earlier than they do. It's just, we're probably going to have to wait for that Oregon game. I think I'm going to miss it because I'll be in Ireland. I'm bummed about that. And then you got Ohio State on November 1st. Aside from that, who do we really see giving Penn State a game?
They do have Iowa on the schedule. They got that trip to Iowa. It's always tricky, even when they're really good. I think back to 2017, McSorley with that seed at the end to walk off to Juwan Johnson, win that game. So I don't know, that one could get interesting. And there's always one or two that you don't expect that creep up on Penn State. So I think they'll be challenged a little bit in the conference schedule beyond those two games, but they certainly shouldn't lose those games. Jason, Joe Starkey wrote this morning about Penn State still having that Ohio State problem. You and I were both there 2 years ago when they went rather meekly in the shoe. Drew Allar cried post-game. Do you sense any different swagger from this group? And do you think they have that level of belief? I'm thinking back to Dion Butler in 2008, the last kind of legit game Penn State won in the Horseshoe, giving that "we are not normal, we are not legend" speech, or "we are legend" speech that resonates through Penn State history. They won again in 2011, but that was the scandal year. Things were going sideways at Ohio State too. I don't think that one really counts in the context of these two programs. Can Penn State win that game? I think a lot of people think that they can beat Oregon at home, but can they win that game to put a point on them taking over the Big Ten this season?
I think they can, Adam. I think they can. I might be drinking the blue and white Kool-Aid here, and I don't even care at this point. If I'm going to script a game that I think Penn State can win at Ohio Stadium, this is it. They have by far the more experienced quarterback. Other than Jeremiah Smith, no, writ large, Ohio State probably has more wide receiver talent because they have the best, skill position player in college football. I get that. Running back wise, this isn't even a discussion. Like last year it was, right? With Judkins and Henderson, who's the better backfield duo? This isn't a discussion right now. Like you have James Peoples and questions on the Ohio State side and Allen and Singleton for Penn State, and it's not close. Penn State has a better offensive line. There's more talent returning. They probably have a better defense. There's more assurances there. They took Ohio State's defensive coordinator. So, I can't script a better opportunity for Penn State to go to Columbus and win. If they can't do it at this point, it is truly some sort of mental hangup. Now, I know Ryan Day has been a lot better in big games than James Franklin. That's a fair criticism. But I'd like to think that last year in the college football playoff, Franklin started to slay some of those demons. I don't think, the Notre Dame loss, like it was frustrating and people got mad about Drew Allar's performance. I don't look at it as like a classic James Franklin egg lay. I thought they were largely competitive in that game. It came to, it's a football game that they lost. So I don't know. I think this is the year they do it, though. I will say that.
Is there any other Big Ten team that scares you if you're Penn State? If they get Michigan in a Big Ten title game, are they still the better team there? Do you still believe in that, given that Michigan won the national title 2 years ago, beats Ohio State last year, still has the bones of that program in there, even though they were not up to their standard, consistently? When you look around this conference, is it the two teams on Penn State's schedule, or is it anyone else that would concern you if you get to Indy?
A little bit. I'm not writing off Michigan. I don't think that's fair. But I can't. What's that?
USC dogfight there at the Coliseum a year ago. Not USC.
No, I just don't think Penn State played as well as it could against USC. I don't think USC is a better team than Penn State. I don't think they'll make it there. I don't think they're as much of a challenge for Penn State. Oregon's got a bunch of transfers. Maybe Oregon comes up with something, but they also were hit hard by losses with Gabriel and Tez and all that stuff. So I'm going through it in my head. I don't, you're not going to prop up Illinois is better. You're not going to prop up Iowa is better. I think it's Ohio State. If you take care of Ohio State, which I think they can, I think they're a more talented roster, and there aren't many years I can say this, than Ohio State. I think they're going to be in very good shape. What about you?
All right, Jason. So let's get to the predictions. Are you saying 12-0, 12-0, get to Indy, win the Big Ten title? So should I just put that to the side and ask you how far you think they're going to go?
National championship, baby.
That's your pick.
Going to win it all. That's my prediction.
Interesting. On our podcast with Isaiah Maldonado, I said they're going to go 11-1. I think they will win the Big Ten. I think the tie breaks will work out in their favor, but I do think they'll lose to Ohio State at the shoe. Okay. But I do think they're going to fall short. I think we'll see another semifinal loss. I think they're going to draw a better team in that spot than they did a year ago.
Who do they lose to? Who's your Final Four?
I explained this too. I don't know who it is yet. It's going to be.
You don't know who it is, but Penn State's going to lose to them.
I think that there's a lot of teams that I can imagine coming together.
Okay.
I think there's also a lot of teams that have question marks. I think Penn State is as close with its peers as it has ever been under James Franklin, but I'm still talking about things on paper. I think some of these SEC teams are going to, kind of like a hurricane, get their stuff together, be Category 5s by the time you get to that Final Four, and I think Penn State better be ready. I think last year with Notre Dame didn't have much of a passing game. I think that it's going to go down as their best chance to get to that national title game. I don't think you're going to get a Final Four that has maybe a softer matchup like that for Penn State.
Now, to be clear, for anybody watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or whatever it may be, one of us went to Penn State, and it is not me.
I've seen too much, Jason.
Okay.
I think back. I think the horror story that a lot of people are looking back to is that 2017 team with Saquon Barkley that I think was unequivocally James Franklin's best. I think was maybe the best team that they had since 1994. You still can't beat Ohio State at home in that year. Or no, they were on the road that year, but they had the lead with Saquon Barkley on that kick return. And then you lay the egg at Michigan State. If you go 10-2 this year, you probably still make it into the playoffs and have a chance to get it together. But then the pressure's really on, kind of like it was for Ohio State a year ago. Can Penn State live up to that? I will believe it when I see it. But Jason, thank you for joining me this week. Great conversation about the Nittany Lions. If you're joining us for the first time, which you likely are, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm, and we will talk to you again right here next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.